Welcome to DHUnplugged, your weekly blast of tech and market intel where the signals matter and the noise gets ignored. JC Dvorak brings the tech and AI firepower, the guy who actually understands what's happening under the hood while everyone else is still rebooting. And Andrew Horowitz, the money guy, delivers market perspective with a directness that cuts straight to what matters. Together, they navigate the week's tech and market madness with fast, sharp, and entertaining insights. Let's join JC and Andrew now.
Hey, I'm Andrew Horowitz.
I'm John. I'm JC.
You are JC. You're John, too. Both of them. And This is a little bit of a new format for us. You know, we've trying to get used to each other, get used to what's going on with regard to some of the ways of doing this show. But we're going to try. I think we're doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah.
You know? So lots to talk about this week. We're going to talk about a couple of things that are pretty amazing. What's going on in the markets right now. We have the Fear and Greed Index, which we're going to talk about. The unemployment numbers that came out, something for everyone in that. There's really a really interesting situation because depending on who you are, where you're thinking, where you come from, what your outlook is, pretty much that number that came out last week, you could say, well, that was good. Others are saying, well, not so much. We're going to break it down a little bit. We have some of the numbers that I think are important to all this. And also CPI data coming out tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, of course, the 11th of August, 2026. And tomorrow we're going to see the CPI come out, so it's going to be kind of interesting. PPI on Thursday. You know, John, what's interesting is I remember for many years that a small item, but the PPI, the Producer Price Index, would come out the day before the Consumer Price Index. And kind of, that's been jumbled up. I don't exactly know why. It comes out sometimes before.
It makes, it adds volatility. Everybody loves volatility.
I guess that could be one of the reasons. The thing is, though, that you would think the way things should go is we first find out about the PPI, which is the Producer Price Index, the wholesale numbers before they get to the consumer. And then afterwards, we find out the other number, and that would give us all the information we need. But I guess not anymore. Who knows? Things are, as you say, jumping around a little bit. What else do we have? We have new highs in the market, shaking off the bad stuff. People are like, you know what? So what? There's a war. There's inflation. GDP is kind of coming down a little bit. You know, we got big things, little things. We got tariffs being reversed. Doesn't matter. Good news is that earnings are hitting the spot, and that's the bright spot for everybody. We are in the midst of earnings season, and the peak of earnings season was last week. Something like, I think 80% of the S&P 500 companies have already reported, and that's good.
So are earnings actually good right now, or is it just that we've gotten really good at setting expectations?
Very interesting question. That's a great question because earnings are actually good, and they're even better than a lot of people think right now because expectations that usually we have, usually the play is this. Here's the playbook. Analysts have earnings numbers they set throughout the quarter. The closer we get towards the actual date that we have the earnings report, usually what happens is that the analysts will start reducing their actual numbers. Why is that? Well, it makes for an easier bar for the companies to hop over. This particular earnings season, analysts actually increased their numbers into the earnings print. And they still beat. Traditionally, there's about a 78% of the 78% of the companies that report beat EPS earnings, which is kind of like, okay, that's great. We expect that. That's the setup. This time, closer to like 90%, I think, have beat earnings estimates. So, pretty good. Oil is also rebounding on a no deal. What a surprise. We actually bought oil for our clients. I think we doubled up the position last week on the Scott Bessent, I guess the day after the show, when Scott Bessent came out and said that, we're going to have a deal by Wednesday or Thursday. We said, I don't think so. Oil came down about 7%. We doubled up on it, and we just took half it off, made a nice, I guess about a 9% profit on it, something like that.
Oh, that's not
in
bad.
a week. Also want to mention, of course, still thinking about your dad, John C. Dvorak.
Yeah, how was the meetup?
The meetup was good. And in fact, if you allow me, I have I have, if I could find out where this is, bear with me for a second. We have, if I get to the right spot here, there we go. We have some commentary from the meetup. So how about we play that right now?
Yeah, do it.
In the morning, everybody. This is Scott Ault from the Winning the Week podcast. And I just want to say we're having a good time over here at the Fort Lauderdale meetup in memory of John. There will never be another one. And I wish you guys were here with us, but you're not. So we're going to have fun without you in the morning.
$100 Eric. Just want to thank you guys for setting us up. We really appreciate, and we're with you guys on everything you're going to go forward with. Thank you for all the history.
In the morning, my name is Juliana. I'm here to celebrate John and everything he's given me. I consider John my friend, and Adam, and also Andrew. Everybody, thank you for inviting me to your lives.
Hi, I'm Hans Mathery, Sir Skibbity, and been listening to both the shows for ages, and I really miss John, and I hope everybody's doing well, and thanks for all the podcasts.
My name is Clay Basevice. I'm from Miami, Sir Basevice, and I started listening to John in 2008, and I listened to Agenda back then, and it was terrible. I didn't listen again until 2012, and then it was a lot better. So I do miss John. The last 18 years giving me advice via podcast. So John, we missed a lot, and all the respect and love to his family for everything, for giving us so much of John's time. Anyways, miss you too, Adam. All right, thank you.
Yeah, my name's Ken. I discovered the No Agenda show through Joe Rogan, actually, right during the pandemic. And John was somebody that I just enjoyed his voice, hearing it, and he was always, to me, a voice of reason. I also had a lot of affection for him because he's from California, and I'm from California originally. I'm going to miss him a lot. And I hope he took that last Amtrak Zephyr train to the next world. So God bless him, and may he rest in peace.
All right, you got it. Paul Barron, and I've been listening to Andrew and John for, many years. Actually, John and I go way back even and actually when I found that John was doing a podcast with Andrew, I didn't know Andrew, but I knew John from the old days of Silicon Valley, and of course a lot of his work with PC Magazine, and had followed him around, and of course found Andrew, and then realized he lived in my hometown. That was how we all kind of got together. So that's kind of been my history. I guess it's probably been about 10 years. I know the DH Unplugged podcast is one of the oldest ones out there, so it's been a while since they got going. I think even the first time I had listened to John, it was when he was with Leo Laporte over on Twit, and that was probably 15 years ago. So it's been quite a while listening to him on DH Unplugged.
Probably 20.
Yeah.
I'm Chris Marble. I've been listening to No Agenda since 2020 and to DH Unplugged for about 5.5 years.
What are you going to miss about John?
I mean, everything. I feel like he's my grumpy spirit animal, and his alternate way of looking at everything on planet Earth is going to be missed a lot, for sure.
Hi, my name is Leslie Wilbur. I've been listening to No Agenda since about 2021, and I'm from Loxahatchee, Florida, and I'm so excited that we're meeting here. And John, I'm going to miss you so much. I think what I'm going to miss most is you saying bullcrap.
Hey, it's Andrew.
And Jill.
And Jill, and we're here at the NADHU meetup for JCD. A lot of acronyms and simplified terms right there, but it's wonderful to have everybody here. It's wonderful for this great day to honor such a great man and all that he has meant to us. And Mimi, the gang, Jay, and JC, and everybody. I want to say hello and let you know that we're thinking about you. A lot of people right here thinking about you as well. So
we send all of our deepest condolences and send a lot of love and healing prayers to the whole family.
Right. So we had about 35 people. Actually, we missed, I thought I caught, there was one other person there. I don't know where she was, but she flew down from Maryland to Fort Lauderdale to come in. People who came from all the way up in like 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive from Port St. Lucie came down, and all the way from Miami. Actually, some people from Tampa St. Pete came over, so that's about a 3.5 hour ride. So we had like 35 people. We played trivia. I had a bunch of JCD trivia and gave away books. We actually gave away the book that John and I wrote with your sister Jay, who did all the illustrations. That was a stock market for the A to Z for kids.
Oh yeah, the ABCs.
The ABC, stock market ABCs, which we did. Gave those away, signed them off, and gave away some shirts. It was really a very, very nice afternoon. It was hot as hell. But everybody enjoyed themselves and a lot of great stories. Adam sent in a video from San Fran, on the streets of San Fran a few hours before the funeral service. And he sent his regards and all that. So it was just a really great, warm, nice kind of feeling. I got to tell you, I guess Adam told everybody to hug me or something. So everybody was hugging me. He was like, come here, give me a hug. I need a hug. But it was great. It was very nice. So,
I mean, for an event like that, hugs are okay.
Yeah, I thought it was
there are so many meetups this last weekend.
So many.
So many. I hope many of them end up becoming inaugural meetups too, because a lot of regions didn't actually have a meetup tradition, and now maybe they will be.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So,
can I go back a moment though?
I want you to. Yes, sir.
So we were just talking about the earnings, and they're doing really, really well. So the fear and greed index, which you kind of passed over, it's certainly kind of odd. Are they measuring the wrong people? Like, it seems like there's not reason to be so fearful.
I find this to be a bit of a contrarian indicator. When there's extreme greed is a time you want to start worrying. If there's extreme fear is when you want to start loading up the truck, backing up the truck, I call it. It's a very strange thing, because when any of these indicators that show excessive amount of optimism, in fact, not immediately, but I think it leads to, and I have indicators that we built as well like this. They actually are telling the opposite story. When people are freaking out, it's usually the time to get in. When people are like, oh my God, it's never going to get worse, the market rally is going to continue forever, it's like, time to get out. At least temporarily.
So who's it measuring? How's it working if we just had some wonderful earnings reports?
So it's mentioned. So right now it's measuring greed, right? At a 61 is the last I saw it here. This is for those of you that are going to freak out what I'm about to say here. Just don't, and just hold on. It's on CNN.com. So everybody's like, oh, you can't believe it, fake news. Forget that. Let's just go with this, because this has been going on for years. Their particular fear greed index. And actually on the page, it shows you, if you see the top right there, let's see, right under the big print where it says fear and greed, you see the word overview?
Yeah. Let me.
And then it has the word timeline. So that's what I like to look at, the timeline.
It's
so greed's what, a 61 right now, which is,
I see. So you can follow
you follow historical reference on that. But what this shows is a lot of things. One, greed is the market momentum's in the greed mode. It's like over the 125-day moving average and all this, and that considers greed. Stock market strength considering fear. They look at a variety of things in here. I think they look at what's called the one of these. The next one's the McClellan Volume Summation Index. Tom McClellan, who's been a frequent guest on the show since, I don't even know, like 15 years, on the Disciplined Investor podcast. He comes out with this. He has the summation index. That's a neutral, meaning that we're not too hot, not too cold. They take all these different various readings, mush them together somehow, and come up with that there's more greed in the market right now than there is fear. Therefore, we're at a point that we got to call greed. It's not ultra greedy. I would call this neutral right now.
Okay. So why are all of these, last question is a bit tangential. Why are all of these indicators public? Like, I know from friends who work for like Jane Street that, when you develop these cool indicators and like prediction models, you do not publicize them because it's your alpha and your edge. So how did these end up becoming like so popularly shared and public? Are they just common? Does everybody calculate this?
Well, the McClellan indicator, he puts that out on his website, and he does it as, I think, a way of explaining to people the things that he does. And really, that one indicator doesn't show you everything. I think it's more so the combination, and that you probably want to buy their newsletter. That's the McClellan.
Okay.
The other ones, I think it's just a way of getting eyeballs to their website.
Yeah.
That's the best I could say, because the rest of the stuff is just
content. It's content. It's not
content.
analysis.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what it seems like to me, at least.
So it's actually a form of entertainment.
Yeah. I don't buy into this that much. And as a matter of fact, there's someone that I know who has a very similar name to you that used to call this BS, this particular indicator. But I think it's one of those things that you want to have knowledge of.
Right, because there are people probably making trades based on it, right?
Yeah, based on something of this nature. We have something that we call the KRI index that I built. It's a culmination, similar kind of concept, actually, now that I think about it, where we have a multitude of other indicators that we built that then go into the process of where we are. In other words, each one is ranked and then a rating, and then it is weighted and then put together for the whole. And we call it KRI, key reversal indicator. Oftentimes, I can tell you, and I can show you this historically, when it bottoms out, it is time to buy. Now, when it tops out, that doesn't mean it's time to sell. It has to top out and really get toppy, because when things are good, people think things are good. When people get scared, they freak out real quick. So
it's a loss aversion, right?
It's very much, and people will continue to buy in. You can look at the markets. It's funny because there's all sorts of reasons to buy, very few reasons to sell.
So it seems like it's more that we should have an indicator for optimism and enthusiasm versus pain aversion, or like fear or reactionness. Yeah.
It's hard to judge, though. I mean, there are a variety of things you could look, and this is what we call behavioral finance. There's a very good grouping of literature on this. Daniel Crosby, who is a psychologist, behavioral finance expert, written a lot of the book on this, and a few others in this area. If you understand behavioral finance and understand the fear-greed patterns, understand almost in a way poker to a degree,
right?
You could do well in the stock market from a trading standpoint.
All right, so we're just encouraging all the poker gamblers out there to go take a hand in the retail market.
Yeah, all the degenerates should be making sure they get involved in the stock market. Of course.
I only trust gamblers who lose. They need to have blown out first. The gamblers that start off with a hot hand and they just do really well, they're the worst gamblers ever, because they got taught the wrong lesson in their first few plays.
Right. And that's the same thing with investors, I think. It's the same concept, that investors that did well for a while, and in a market that has done well, which, by the way, about 90% of the flow of the market and of individual stocks is based on the larger component of the market itself.
Yeah.
So when you have a situation where it's like, wow, I picked all these great stocks, like, dude, every stock went up today. How do you, you're not such a genius.
Well, it's like that kid who blew up. The guy who was maximizing EV over the AI hedge fund.
Yeah. The guy from situational awareness.
Yeah. That guy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he just got another 400 million to make another bet last week after the fact.
Wow. I mean, what was the deal, though? Do you know the whole gossip about Citadel buying out his portfolio?
It's not gossip. It's true. They did a 10%.
No, I know it's true.
Yeah, 10% discount on it, which I think was very reasonable on the then value of the portfolio.
Yeah.
This is not the first time Ken Griffin has come in to the rescue of an ailing situation. And who knows how much pressure his firm put on for the other firm to begin with to make them go down.
Well, the gossip I know is that there was some suspicion about the report that came out of Citadel just prior, because situational awareness used it as like a basis for their trades, which is one of the reasons why they blew up. And then, of course, the naive are like, well, can't you sue them? That was market manipulation. It's like, you can't prove that they wrote a bad report intentionally.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of funny business that goes on In the end, though, like I said, people are still betting on this guy. He's in his 20s, by the way. He has a very strange name.
I know.
I'll never remember his name.
It's there always has to be at least one SBF sort of figure at any given moment.
What's happening with SBF? Have we heard anything about him? Saying, what a great name, Sam Bankman-Fried, or as I call it, first. Eventually, he'll be Sam Bankman-Fried. Right now, he's still incarcerated. He's right now Sam Bankman-Fried, as I see it.
Yeah. Well, he was Sam Bankman-Fraud, really.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. It's kind of funny because you knew that. Didn't everybody smell that and know that? It was just...
No, when you meet him, I met him. I am friends with a very close friend of his in the Magic the Gathering scene. And so he was at the kitchen table of my friend's house. And the first thing that happens when I meet him is he immediately wants to do that sort of competitive nerd thing where you want to start talking facts and trivia and check to see and assess if the other person knows as much as he does.
Mm-hmm.
And now, naturally, I have not memorized Magic the Gathering or its statistical probabilities. And so I was defeated rapidly. But I thought it was just sort of rude. I was just like, that's not... Could we done jokes or something?
Isn't it like just meeting somebody and him just saying, let's arm wrestle?
Yeah, pretty much. You look like your muscles are smaller than mine. Let's do it. And yeah, so my first meeting of this kid was because he was young. He was just tagging along. He really was really into this guy. Because again, Magic the Gathering is a crazy culture. It's got some really high performing players who are now, a lot of them are poker players. But at the time, back over a decade ago, they had this different quality, which was that they had this prestige of the people who were winning the global, competitions, and he really, really was into that. And so, weirdly, he's in I'm 2 steps away from him. Unfortunately, I did not make any money on FTX, so I didn't really take any advantage of this.
Yeah. Who knew?
But no, very aggressive sort of guy.
Passive aggressive or aggressive?
Yeah. I don't know if you know comic book culture and that sort of nerd thing. You may know it from popular culture where you just have these kind of this super aggressive, low key. It's very passive, but it's this low key sort of do you know which issue of Batman was the first one that had Catwoman wearing her current outfit? That sort of aggression where it's you're
so let me set the stage here so I understand something. You're at some kind of party gathering or something, right? And somebody walks up to you and maybe they have, I'm assuming this guy has a Shirley Temple, not a real drink, and his hair is.
Oh, let me set the scene better.
Oh,
let me set the scene better. It's a kitchen table of one of their parents' houses.
Okay,
I'm there to play a wonderful game of Diablo 2. Just a good classic LAN game over some old laptops. They happen to be there too. And so, because it's the same building. And so I'm just getting a Snapple or something. I forget what I'm getting. And as I'm chatty, I immediately start talking about the game they're playing at the table. And Sam basically turns, I think irritated to the fact that I'm asking questions, and then immediately starts grilling me. I fumble because I just didn't memorize that stuff. And I just remember that ever since when I saw his face again, I was like, wait, that guy? What? What? He's a billionaire? And now he's in prison and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, win some, lose some.
Yeah. Let's talk about some other things about the market. Some things that we need to talk about for tomorrow. CPI. And I had some thoughts about this. Basically, the expectation for CPI coming out tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning on Wednesday, the 12th of August, expected to ease, I say, to 3.4% from a year earlier. Core inflation, which strips out food and energy, at 2.5%. And this is going to be important because the market seemed to see the glass as half full right now. And that if we see a decline of the CPI number, the inflation number, from about 3.5 to 3.4, 3.3, that's going to be a really good thing. But the fact of the matter is it's still 3.3% or 3.4, which is on top of the 3.5% that we saw last year, 4% the year before that, 6%, 7%. You know what I'm saying? So it's this compounding effect. And if you add up the inflation over the last number of years, especially since COVID, probably seen about prices increase 30 to 35%. So
how much?
Let me say one thing.
Impacting those earning numbers.
What's that? Yeah,
how much of
course, because it's impacting spending. When you look at retail, you have to strip out. For example, if we see retail sales at 2%, but yet increase of prices on average are 3%, you're actually negative.
Right.
So a lot of this inflation, it's a really good question, is going into a lot of this. The other thing is, which we're not going to really get into this time, because I swore off of this for a couple of episodes, is, all the excess money coming in from technology, the build outs of the data centers, the money that's flowing into the markets from the, from the hyperscalers, et cetera, the chip companies. That is all pushing up prices as well. Now, markets are really good at ignoring a lot of this, thinking it's one-off, because the belief is, and this is a truism, inflation eventually will subside. Now, the question is, when does this subside? Does it subside after a total of 30, 40% increase, and then it just goes back to 2%, which, by the way, is not so great because now you got 2% on 40%. Yep. But it will. The natural process of this, it's kind of like water will rise to a point where that equilibrium is at, right? Where the pressure is just so much. That's kind of where inflation, what happens with inflation as well. That's why you can't stay at, unless something's really screwed up, like in Argentina, Venezuela, Zimbabwe. Yeah. You can't have like 10%, 15% inflation year after year for the next 20 years. It's impossible. You kill off the entirety of your currency. So a soft reading is probably going to get people all excited, probably bring down rates. The 10 years about 4.6, 4.7 right now, possibly down to 4.4% again, which, by the way, is still a little high. 30-year mortgage hit a high since, 2008 last week at what was the number? No, I can't remember the number. 6.7% was it, the 30-year, which impacts mortgages, et cetera. If we have a harsh number, there's going to be probably a referendum on the fact that Kevin Warsh is going to let the markets talk, that the probability for a rate hike is going to happen. So
are people trading on inflation, or are they just trading on rate hikes?
Everything. They're trading on
everything.
But they're trading on, well, I guess to square up your question with a square answer, is that they're trading on the inflation number that will yield what will the Fed do vis-a-vis rate hikes or cuts.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the Fed since 2008 has been so involved with markets, safety nets, bailouts, and liquidity that's all the current investor really knows. And the belief—
that's the reason why line goes up.
Yeah. Exactly. So the idea is that, as long as we can keep a monetary policy that's reasonably loose, maybe not loose, but not tight like crazy, like a Paul Volcker style, taking a jackhammer to inflation back in the late 1980s. As long as we don't have that and we have a slow process with the understanding that it can't be anything else, because we have so much debt outstanding, and the idea that having 10% interest rates and would obliterate our country.
Yeah. I guess I have there's like an international politics question that I can't quite figure out how to phrase, but it's sort of like right now we have a lot of control over our inflation. And that's partly because of our how we're positioned in the global economy.
Yeah.
Do we see in like other countries that we have control over their inflation? That is to say, as China rises into becoming a more dominant market position, do they end up having more say about the inflation, giving us less maneuverability in the next 10 years?
I think so. So the question is, do we have control over others inflation, or does any other? Is that the
So
question?
both. So it's a sort of a double step question. One is, have we shown the ability to manipulate or show some control over other countries' inflation? Which I think the answer is yes. And then if that's the case, what if we don't maintain our standing? In which case, can China do that to us? In which case, how, like, we're heavily levered. I'm kind of just trying to figure out what are the stumbling blocks? Like, do we need to be closer to the railing when we're this drunk down the stairs?
Yeah. So good question, and good. I'm thinking how that looks right now, and the stumbling going on. If in fact China, so they think the control is the mechanism that they have over us, and in particular with Japan. Let's look at Japan, not China for a second. So Japan has a really good mechanism to really corral us, and that's their currency, the yen. The yen is at a 40-year low, give or take a couple of yen here and there. So if it's at a low like it is, that means that it's much more attractive to buy goods, the various tractors, goods, whatever, from Japan. Why do they do that? Well, it's very good for their exports, and their exports therefore run the country. And the fact is, you can see what's going on with Japanese stock market over the last, I would say 3 years. It's been just on fire as the yen is going down. Yeah. Yen goes up and messes with their stock market dramatically. They are an export-driven country. Our situation here is we're a consumption-driven country that does exports, but it's like a matter of fact thing. We consume. We are the fat bastard of the world. I mean,
we're the buyer of last resort.
Yeah, we just buy everything that's out there. So we can really impact the inflation numbers of other countries, but they can also turn it around and turn on again and off again with currencies if they can do that. The problem is it's only so long you can do something like that. Your ability to buy into foreign currency reserves and play that game is limited a bit when the numbers get as large as they are. The numbers are large.
Because you start cutting yourself a lot.
Yeah, these numbers are really big right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, okay, well, let's take $100 million and throw it at the problem. No, we're talking quadrillions kind of thing, right? We're talking billions. So
no, trillions is the correct answer. It's not billions. Billions are nothing.
I remember when I would see the numbers of Japanese stock market prices of their stocks. It was like, that's 3 billion yen. I'm like, 3 billion yen? What does that happen? And it was not so long ago that the idea that, you have a company valued at 1 trillion yen, let's say, which was maybe $2 billion or something, like that.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're excited that we have a company that's worth, Amazon just turned 3 trillion. The numbers that they put out with that great numbers last week with their earnings, they turned it into a $3 trillion market cap. And we're like, well, that's great. Well, wait. 3 trillion. How did we get here? We were talking about in the billions. I remember when I first started in the business, a large cap company was like 10 to 20 billion dollars of market cap was like
but
large
you get a Happy Meal for $1 back then.
I know. I had McDonald's this weekend. I'll admit it. First time.
What's the price?
I bought a medium fry and a medium Diet Coke. I didn't eat anything till 3:00 and I was starving and I saw McDonald's. I'm like, give me something. Yeah. It was like $7.50.
Yeah, ridiculous.
$7.50.
I used to be able to get a good burrito for that price.
Yeah. That was actually a trivia question at the meetup. The trivia question was, what was the restaurant that John C. Dvorak loved to hate? There was a couple, but there was one that he would talk about on the show all the time.
Oh, besides Taco Bell?
Well, Taco Bell was the same genre. It was Chipotle. But the funny thing is he never went to a Chipotle. He never went to a Chipotle.
Yeah, I was going to say, he never went to a Chipotle, but he did go to a Taco Bell.
Yeah, he definitely, if you look up at the history, Taco Bell, but we talked about Chipotle all the time here. Another thing, I think we got to talk about tariffs for a second, because tariffs are returning, new tariffs of 10 to 12% over imports from 60 different trading partners. How long is this going to be that this is going to become illegal? I don't know. A lot of them have to do with child labor laws and the idea that these countries are doing things that are not so good when it comes to child labor laws. Another way where you can get a number of days, 60 days or 90 days or whatever it is, out of a tariff. There's some repercussions that will happen. But at the same time, you have to remember that companies we saw in the earnings season are actually getting paid back. I think Nike got like 60 million or 600 million, some ridiculous number.
Yeah.
So that added into their earnings, which took it away from some time ago. New lawsuits of the administration are involved. 25 states are suing the White House or so I don't know. We have major parties in China, Europe, India, Japan, Canada, Mexico. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. I'm kind of sick of the tariffs. As a matter of fact, we had where is this? Check this out. Here, we're going to play this just for the hell of it.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I woke up this morning, checked the price of steel, looked at my bottom line, don't know how to feel. Tariffs keep rising, costs out of control.
Have you heard this before?
Trying to sell my goods, but it's taking a toll.
That's a good song.
Oh, these tariffs, they're giving me the blues.
Done all by AI, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm in the field. I can hear it's got a distinctive metallic noise when it's got a twang or a resonance.
Yep.
You can still hear it still. It's still like the extra fingers. So how do investors, so how are people trading this? How are investors distinguishing between tariff theater from actual tariffs that are actually going to do anything?
I don't think they care. I really believe, I don't think they care. I think it's like
just noise.
I think we've gotten to a point that we're numb.
Yeah.
I think investors have we've had, this idea of trying to take a sip out of an open fire hydrant, this constant flow and we're just like, you put your face up to that fire hydrant and you're like, oh, you're getting smacked. You're getting smacked. And I think we're like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going near that.
So how are businesses dealing with it? Because like if I were running a corporation that had like a heavy import side of it and I had a bad earnings quarter, I would just blame it on tariffs, even if it wasn't tariffs.
Yeah, of course. You blame it on tariffs. We've talked about all the things that are blamed on, like, for example, you blame things on the weather. It's not the tariffs, it's weather. And if not that, it's currency. You use something called a constant currency process. In fact, the tariffs, I'm going to show you right here. I have this right here in the studio. This is the original.
Using up all that black ink.
That's the original tariffs that were put on, and we talked about this at length, sitting right here. I mean, it's literally right here in the studio. Yeah. I referenced it because I look at it all the time when I think of tariffs. I'm like, wait, let me get this straight. Let me look. We had a 60% tariff on South Africa. I mean, really? And these countries, we put 29% on Pakistan, 44% on Myanmar, 44% we put on them. And that lasted however long until the administration realized that it was messing with the stock market. But I think now, to really put a point on the answer to your question, I honestly think that most people think that companies will be able to navigate really well through them.
Yep.
And I also think, this is a little bit perverse and probably what most people would not expect me to say, is that this exercise in beating companies over the head with the tariffs, forcing them once again to minimize expenses, cut the fat, was a really good exercise in an emergency situation. Because if you think about it, what's the difference about putting a tariff on that can't be passed down of 30% and a 30% cut in your profits or margin?
Yeah.
So I think it really gave management there was an existential threat to many companies on this, but it also gave management another blast of keep your shit tight.
Well, I mean, you need that because it's extremely hard to prune dead wood in any corporation. Like you need to have some exterior force, so you can't, because otherwise you're fighting a giant political battle and a huge cultural war to just be like, hey, we probably shouldn't have the dancing girls, Like with that's probably we shouldn't have this big team of people who just dance for us.
Right.
They're like, no, we need that. That's really important. But if you say the tariffs, Trump did it. Sorry, guys, we can't have the our own soccer team anymore. That allows you to do it. So like with the COVID, we saw this happen where there was no real reason to lay people off, but yet we did. And then we hired a bunch, and then we had to lay them off again because Trump won, or however it was, or AI. AI is the most recent one. AI is changing the game. And then all the people that we lay off aren't actually impacted by AI. They just happen to be surplus labor, where it's like you've got a HR department division that's 1,000 people strong.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting situation, and it's what makes the stocks of the U.S. and the world so fascinating. And I think the belief that, not getting too corny here, but that one of the best places to amass wealth is the stock market, finding the greatest companies in the world with the greatest minds in the world that are at the helm, navigating not only what's happening now, but the future opportunities that arise and working through all that.
And at the end of that, you say you're taking clients still.
Yeah. And by the way, we're open for business. Open for business.
Okay, so is next the mega cap free cash?
This is interesting because this is something that I was really concerned about going into earnings season. So free cash flow. So you hear this bantered around. You hear like earnings. You hear gross margin, net margin. You hear EBITDA. X this or that, X items and things. Free cash flow is a calculation basically that looks at how much cash that a company has that they retain after operating costs and spending. Now, the big thing here on the tech companies right now was, and other companies, was how much money was going to be spent on build-outs, on product, on chips, on data centers, on promise of the future for cloud storage, all that stuff, right? All right. Well, the thing is that we knew this going in, fortunately. The companies did a really good job of prepping everybody because free cash flow is one of those things that you look at if you start dipping down really hard, you're like, wait a second, what's going on? Because that does not go back into the bucket where that could be used for other things like dividends, buybacks, things of that nature.
Right.
And if you don't have that, investors get wary because that also goes back into the bucket of possibly even your cash stockpile to use for other things and buying companies and merger acquisition or whatever. All right, here's the numbers. Apple.
All right.
Apple came out. They actually had a free cash flow which was up about $7.5 billion or 31%. Why? Because they're not investing in any tech. They're not doing anything new, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what do they have? They're going to have a phone that's a 1/4 inch bigger, an 1/8 of an inch thinner. It's going to have a shinier. It's going to be shinier.
You just wait. The new CEO, just wait. Just wait. There's going to be some announcements.
All right. Well, that'd be exciting.
They're going to change their strategy going forward. Certainly.
Okay. Microsoft down about $6 billion or 23%. Meta down 91%. And that's why that stock got whacked. Zuckerberg again is going at his metaverse, but in a different name.
This time AI, but yeah.
Yep. Amazon deteriorated about $25 billion from a positive $18 billion to a negative $7.6 billion. Alphabet down $11 billion, swinging from a positive $5.3 billion to a negative $5.9 billion. Tesla down about $1.24 billion, swinging from a positive $146 million to a negative $1.09 billion. Intel adjusted cash flow worsened by $7.37 billion from a already negative $1 billion to a negative $8.42 billion. By the way, did a $20 billion secondary offering over the last couple of days. That's why the stock was down probably about 5% in the last 2 days. NVIDIA actually was up $22.5 billion or 86%. That just shows you that even with all the spending that they're doing, they're still socking money away.
So why isn't this a reason to buy when on the business management side of the house, that indicates that they have something to put money into?
The question is, are they overspending? That's the concern. And what is going to be the ROI on what they're putting money into? There's a balance, I think. I think the reason that companies are getting stung right now with some of the spending is there's not a well-defined and articulated return
They're
on
not explaining their
investment
strategy.
outcome. Yeah.
So they're just not explaining their strategy well enough.
Right. It's like we're spending because. Right. They're spending because they don't want to. I think it's because they don't want to fall behind. Well, that's not a good reason. That's just not a good reason. Or
so
they're spending more than they anticipated.
Because how I interpreted the NVIDIA cash flow was actually that they don't have anything to do right now, which has been an issue, which is they're not expanding their product lines. They don't have they're doing as much as they possibly can with what they have. But then they still have extra left over, which means that they would wish they had more opportunities. And the people who have these really negative cash flows, I see it as they have obviously some idea of what to do with that money, even though they're doing it with leverage basically, because they're going way beyond what they can afford. So they presumably, I would assume that it predicts some sort of future market dominance, or at least the possibility of it versus those that didn't do that.
Yeah,
but I could be naive.
Yeah, no, there's a good point there. I think there's something to be said there. But everybody's giving NVIDIA a buy, figuring that, especially with the latest $500 billion line of credit or backing or fund.
That one is, you finally have the case for what I kept saying no about, which is you finally have the circular financing case.
Yeah, it's right there. No, there's no question. It's right there, right in your face. And they're even trying to talk about using the $500 billion and using chips as a defendable backstop for the loans. I'm thinking, wait. This is like
they're trying to make it into a vehicle,
a mortgage too.
Yeah, which is they're starting to financialize it even more, which is very worrisome.
How about NFTs? NFTs of chips.
Yeah.
Chip NFTs that can trade on the secondary with a backstop and a 15% guarantee income on it.
I mean, right now, because they have a monopoly. I mean, it's not a monopoly. I'm not saying it's a monopoly. But given that they look like one, they do have a unique ability to know when their chips are going to be obsolete because they know their schedule. They generally have 3 chips out. Their cycle planning is out 2 years at any given moment. So they know what the value is and what's going to be lost. And they can estimate the depreciation really well. But that stops working as soon as they have real competitors. But right now, I think it makes sense, but at the same time, it smells rotten. Like it smells really dangerous.
It does, and it's starting to smell. I mean, stinky fish just gets stinkier, and the thing is that you have to wonder where it's going. But we'll keep on looking at it. SoftBank, for example, they keep on doing things to prop up their own stocks, to prop up their own revenue, prop up their own income, prop up their own value. SoftBank posted $2.2 billion in quarterly profit, well above expectations. Mm-hmm. This is our good friend Masayoshi Son. He's done some very interesting things in the past where he did some out of the money calls. He did some what we call I can't remember. It's coming. It'll come in a second. Anyway, he did some interesting option trades that actually pushed options and stock prices up. Well, a large gain on what he invested in, which was Intel, was a major driver for their success this quarter. ByteDance also added an investment. That's, of course, our good friends over at TikTok. They're still aggressively funding AI and OpenAI. And again, their funding helps to bring up prices. Bring up prices helps to get their valuation better. And it just is one giant interesting process there.
We'll also remember ByteDance is the folks behind SeedDance, one of the premier video generation models that is having Hollywood freaked, and also what ByteDance wants to try to turn into a whole industry itself.
When do we stop scrolling on these things when we recognize that, I'm just picking a number, 90% of it is made up crap designed to... When I say made up crap, I'm talking about generated, right? Computer generated.
AI slop. Yeah.
And that's a new name. Oh, that's good. Can you say that again? I don't think a lot of people know this new terminology yet.
They don't know the term slop?
Nope, I don't think so. I really think because I just saw it like a few weeks ago. I'm like, that's a good word.
Okay, yeah. So the food that you feed pigs in the trough, it's all chopped up and just a bunch of stuff from the kitchen and wherever you got it. AI, when we generate junk that isn't really well stylized or prepared, we call it slop. It's termed originally from some 4chan slang from about 10 years back. If you look into it, it's very racist. but now we use it in a non-racist term. We use it as a well, it's anti-Semitic, not racist. But anyway, we now use it.
Slop is anti-Semitic?
No. What slop comes from? The slop slang that we use on the internet now actually is a descendant of another term that you can look into. You look into it. Ask an AI bot.
The Jews gonna look into the slop anti-Semitic stuff, and I just said I like the slop tech word, and maybe I'm not gonna like it.
Oh no, it's the terms are fine. We've cleaned it. It's not.
You sanitized it.
It's been sanitized. It's been washed. The prediction for when TikTok fails is easy enough. It's when you can generate all of TikTok on your phone.
Right.
You won't need to go to the cloud.
You don't need to go to the cloud. Half the stuff I'm looking at on Instagram is like, oh, and I find myself scrolling even faster through stuff because like, oh no, come on. That is just so not real. And then the problem I have is with the algos, you stop on one thing and that's it, you're done. You just stop to look for 30 seconds and you're done.
Well, this I believe is the next big market bet that Apple's going to be making, but we'll get into that as I get you evidence.
Yep. Next week, by the way, we're going to be talking about the things that we haven't talked about that are on the list of things to talk about that I had from last week and we had from this week. One of the things we're going to talk about is earnings, for example, Toyota, McDonald's, Eli Lilly, the weight loss company, and the drugs they're doing there. But we'll talk about that. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into the salmonella with Chipotle and polysilicon is that the good news for our audience is, we play a variety of games. We play the close to the pin game. We have the stock market game. I found an unbelievable programmer because I want to change a few things on how they're represented on DHUnplugged. And the way that we do things now is we have some systems that I built actually to track a lot of the things that actually write out to a CSV file. And then on the web, it's picked up and it's regenerated into this whole cool table system with for close to the pin. Well, close to the pin actually runs off a Google sheet actually that we programmed.
Right.
But I actually thought, this other system I have where it uploads the CSV into an Amazon Drive, then our web server, it points and grabs it and then reformulates it into.
Where are we going with this?
You're doing it.
What?
I found you. You're going to program this. You could do this.
Okay, yeah, I can do it.
Of course you could do it. And
I thought you were describing another great programmer. I was
no. And I'm going to challenge you since you're new to the world of stocks. Am I correct about that?
Sure, that's true. Yeah.
You're going to develop an AI generated stock picker that's going to challenge me.
Oof. Okay.
I'll help you with some of the prompting.
Well, I already have a number of ideas.
I think that would be fun to do in the stock picking game.
Yeah, and then we'll reveal what it's currently predicting.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll put that on as the names. I'll pick my stuff that's not AI generated, right? Just using old school, old man functionality. And we'll have that. So I think that would be kind of interesting. We're gonna do that as well. So there's a couple other things that we have up our sleeves that JC and I have been talking about, but I think it'll be fun. Bring on it's funny because we had I forgot of all the things we did over the years till somebody reminded me recently. We had these brain teasers, we had the limericks, we had all this stuff that was kind of fun, but we also had the old codgers versus the newbie portfolio. And this was like the old school, like Caterpillar, DuPont. You could think of the names of all that stuff. Versus, we had all these newfangled names in the portfolio for a while that would be next gen. And we listed all these companies and we created the portfolios and we let them run for like a year. Now the next gen beat the crap out of the old codgers for a while, but then things turned. And the old codgers caught up very well. So those kinds of things,
I think. Lindy basket.
Yeah. Our listeners love, by the way. They love this kind of stuff.
Oh, good.
So.
Well, yeah, we'll have man versus machine. Let's see if you can beat. What's probably going to be a causal based model.
No. Causal or causal? How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
Causal as in like a causality? Because my guess, a guess, or my data science background is that you can kind of imagine that there's some impacts. A trader is going to look at what is happening in the market and they're looking at different stocks. And they're going to make decisions a little bit about what everybody else is doing. So, and on top of it, the earnings are probably impacted by one another because there's vendors and suppliers. So if you just map the market for what impacts what in terms of both correlations and directional causality, then you just basically just walk forward a little bit on what's happening.
Sounds so simple, doesn't it?
And it probably doesn't work, because if it were that simple and it worked, it would already be used.
Exactly my point on that. But we'll get to that. We'll start working on that. May not be next week, but we'll work on that because I also want to work on, I have a Google spreadsheet that I created we can pop the data in of when the buy was and who bought it. It will do all sorts of coloring and all that, but then we can use, and there's a script that I built based on Google Finance that will actually allow us to have the stops and running what the stops are, the high low from the period we had, and keeps on running the script in the background to figure out when our stop loss is, which I'll talk to you about because we have to put something like that in the game for when things are out because they drop on a trailing basis. So cool stuff. All right.
Wait, will this be paper trading? Because then we're not modeling, or is it we're doing the dollars?
You want to put the money up?
Well, we should do the money up. Otherwise, it's not accurate, because paper trading, you can do all sorts of trades that there's no buyers for.
Yeah, but the stocks that we use, I don't think will be the case. And I think it's a game.
Okay.
It's a game. So, yes, we do it.
We'll use paper.
So what we've done in the past is we buy it on the open. That we know the price. Right. It's not a question. And most of the stocks we have, it'll be the opening price. I don't think there's anything that we could think of that's going to really rock the market because we're theoretically buying one share. You know, so the liquidity.
Well, wasn't there used to be a strategy where you just bought? Was it you bought in the open and sell and close, or vice versa? What was that?
Yeah, you could buy on the open. You could buy at like 2:00. That was kind of the ramp hour. You buy Rosh Hashanah, sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur. That's another one.
Yeah.
There's also the Christmas rally. There's a January effect. There's
the sell in May, go away.
Sell in May, go away. This time it was like, what do we do? It's like there was a few of those. But once everybody knows these things.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You can counter trade it.
Yep. One of the things we did every year was in about June, your dad and I would put on the game, we'd buy Generac. Generac is a battery.
The company makes they make the oil, the supply line generators for
the generators.
House.
So what we'd do was because it would be a seasonal trade when the hurricane season would come, and it would be like the storm season. And every time there was a big, we would get a hurricane, and Generac would go straight up. Now, what happened with Generac was kind of fascinating because what Generac actually turned into was another alternative powering mechanism for what? Data centers.
Tesla. Oh, Tesla. Oh, yeah, right. Data center.
Right. Stock went berserk.
There's also been the big silver lining for GE recently too, because some of a lot of data centers are now basically building entire power plants, and then they're doing it without any permits, which is kind of the real issue. So the story going on about the sound pollution, it's not really the data center fans. It's actually the fact that they're building a bunch of coal and like gasoline generators that are massive.
Right.
And then they're not built to spec.
Yeah. The turbines. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. We're going to finish off. Let's talk about the export machine of China. July exports jumped 23.5% year over year. Imports rose 27%. They're still in a really bad situation there. Their economy is like at a 4.6% or 4.9% GDP loss. They posted another huge trade surplus for China. That was interesting. But what else do we have here? There was two more things I want to talk about. Free cash flow we talked about. Jobs, we talked about that. Just a point, I want to point this out because I think it's really important. The jobs report that came out last Friday. Mixed thoughts on that. We teased this at the top of the show. Right. It came in as a 4.1% unemployment rate. It also saw that only 20,000 new people were added to the payrolls. And last month, there was a big guide down in overall amount of in other words, we had 100-something thousand. They took off like 70,000. Right. But meanwhile, we got a 4.1% unemployment rate, which is the lowest we've seen in a very long time. Why? Because the labor participation rate was reduced. Did we talk about this already?
No. I know about this.
Where did I talk about this?
I have a friend who has an indicator he's rigged up, which is the increase in usage of OnlyFans in terms of people, basically the increase of the new accounts. new account creation seems to actually correlate well with labor participation drops, specifically for female gender or female identifying.
Wait, so let me just make sure I'm understanding this, because just give me a moment here. OnlyFans, which if you don't know what that is, by the way, it's just, let's say it's a fun site to check out if you're
Ask
into
your parents.
Yeah. If you're into doing things like looking at, if you have a fetish of some sort, some of the highest paid people, I think, have foot fetishes, right? There's a foot fetish thing. I
guess.
The people make hundreds of thousands of dollars being OnlyFans foot models. Maybe you're into, small people. Maybe you're into big people. I don't know. But, or sexual things.
Most people make no money on it.
Really?
But some people make a lot of money on it.
A lot of money.
And for bad times, people end up going for big gambling sort of moves. Like they want to become a Twitch influencer, or they want to do something big because they're going to get a big payoff out of it because they have no other options in the market. OnlyFans can be tracked a bit in terms of new account creation through some scraping, and so he's been.
Is it the new? Wait, but is it the new account of the new workers, if you will? OnlyFans accounts that are
not subscribers,
transmitting, the transmitters.
Yeah, the stars of the show, not the subscribers. So the increase of new celebrities on there, new features, new figures, they correlate well with, and they're ahead of the market reports on basically participation rate, because they basically gave up. They're like, all right, maybe I can pay the rent by showing my feet.
Wow, and the correlation is that. We could see, and what's the end result? What are we learning? What are we getting from this? I mean, it should be a relatively similar situation. Is OnlyFans first that we're getting the information from?
Yeah. OnlyFans is ahead. So OnlyFans is before they stop participating. Before we recognize the loss of participation, because participation is delayed. It's I think it's defined by 18 months.
Right. So it gives
you a year advance notice.
It's an advanced indicator that we can use to try to surmise what's really going on in the economy ahead of things. So whereas some of these are backward looking to a degree, we're getting the forward. So we should start. So you're saying we should start watching OnlyFans or just look at this algo?
It was unclear what his advice was. I mean, how he uses it is to basically do poly market bets. And
really? Well, I didn't expect it.
I mean, he's very sophisticated. He's a great person if he's listening, but if he's not listening, he's short-sighted.
It's good stuff. All right, we're going to end it right there, and mention that you can check out all the information over on DH Unplugged. This is episode number 813. DHUnplugged.com. Of course, you can go and donate as well if you like what's being talked about. If you have any comments, by the way, of what's going on, this is all new to JC and myself on how we're kind of doing all this. We're trying to do something a little bit different here. But if you want to comment, you say you love it, you hate it, whatever, I don't care. Whatever it is, we want to know. You can do so. There's some places to do that, and let us know your feedback as well. So I think we'll end it right there, and we'll reconvene next week.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Tell all your friends. All right, here we go. New ending. You've been listening to DH Unplugged with Andrew Horowitz and John S. Dvorak. Make sure to come back each and every week for another action-packed episode.
Now, I'm not broke, but badly bent. I'm not down to my last cent, cause I got $1, but it's my last dollar bill. Yes, sir. In my pockets, there's a dent. All my dough is nearly spent, but I got $1, and it's my last dollar bill. Oh, I'd love just one more buck fortune left me by chance. Now here's a hint, I feel like a mint. You can hardly tell by a glance. I don't care, no millionaire can give me the icy stare, cause I got $1, my last dollar bill.
This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute personalized investment advice. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and the guests and may not necessarily reflect those of Horowitz & Company, Inc., an investment advisor registered with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Horowitz & Company is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Any mention of third-party companies, products, or services is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute an endorsement. Hypothetical scenarios or forward-looking statements are for illustrative purposes only and should be viewed only as that and not as guarantees. Content is intended for U.S. residents only and may not be applicable in other jurisdictions. Listeners should consult a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decision. Please visit our website for additional information, disclosures, as well as a copy of our Form CRS.